All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, cool. So, top three. I'm not going to give you my top one yet because I'm reserving that one for the movie. But one of the top three bust nuts. All right. I'm going to give you one of my top three. I can't give you the top one because I'm reserving that for the script. But
I feel cheated already.
what's that?
I feel cheated. I can't get the best one.
Well, it takes a little longer to set up too. But top three best D's Nuts jokes I've ever delivered was one when I was working at a beer distributor. And I was making a late run. And there was a very annoying customer in the bar. He talked like this. So dropped the beer. And I could hear him the whole time just ranting on about skinny jean this and millennials that and young people this. And so as I was leaving, wrapping up, he just delivered one of the best openings ever. Because I'm walking past and I hear him. He says, and you know what else gets all the way up my ass about this? Just casually, I just say loud enough to the restaurant, like, these nuts? Whole restaurant erupts. And the only thing I hear, I don't look back. I just immediately start running because he was a big dude, huge redneck. The only thing I hear is like, come here, boy. And that's not from my ancestors when you heard, come here, boy. No. You just got to fucking go. You can laugh. It's okay. And so, yeah, that was top three.
That's an excellent delivery for a D's Nuts joke. He walked right into it. He set it up for you.
See, you no pun intended.
But I agree with you. Depending on what part of town you were in and when this was, "Come Here, Boy" is something you should run away from.
It's like Richard Pryor when he said, "Yeehaw." You got to haul ass. I don't know if you got to do that in 2024 though. But anyway, man, thanks for coming.
Sure,
I appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know your schedule runs, so this means more to me than you can know. We go way back. You actually taught me how to gamble.
I did my best.
Well, you taught me how to not lose my money so fast.
There you go. Except to me.
Yes. Well, don't do that. You have a quick mind. I have to give you that. I've never seen anyone calculate numbers and odds as fast as you do. You know what I'm talking about? That night outside, we were on the patio of a certain bar, and you were taking a certain individual for money, like just whatever. We won't get into it. But anyway, you recently finished 27th in the World Series of Poker. I would like you to take your right hand, place it over your left shoulder, and wipe back and forth in a rigorous motion. Get the dirt off your shoulder. There you go.
That's true. I did do that. It was a wonderful experience.
All right, so tell us about that. Like, what was 27th? What does that mean, finishing that high?
Well, it means a couple of things. It means that I'm actually pretty good at the game. I also got
I wake up in the morning, piss excellence.
Well, at least that week I did. Not quite excellent enough to come in first, though. Unfortunately, the difference between first place and 27th place was $11.9 million. But, I only cried for a week over that. It means that I got lucky in a couple of spots, but I played really well. I was really just playing well, and some things went my way. It's pretty rare to do. Most poker players spend their entire lives, or some professionals their careers, and they never do that well in that tournament. It's the World Series of Poker main event, so it's the largest poker tournament of the year every year. And that particular tournament was the largest one in history. So the most prestigious poker tournament in the history of poker, I was the 27th best player in the world that week.
Is it too nosy to pry on like how much was on the line?
No, of course not. Anybody can look it up, but you have to pay $10,000 to enter the tournament. And 27th place paid $280,000, so I profited $270,000. I actually got pretty unlucky in the hand that knocked me out. I had what's called pocket kings, and the other guy had ace king. So he only had 3 cards he could hit to beat me, but he hit 1. If he doesn't do that, there's no telling how well I would have done. But 27th place was $280,000, and first place was $12.1 million. So there's a big disparity between 27th and first. I would have liked to have won.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, tell me this. Are your Facebook followers Facebook followers, friends, Instagram followers. What does dating look like when they know you've just like pocketed 300 cash?
That's a funny that you asked that question. It, at my age, with the people that are it didn't really mean a whole lot in Jackson, Mississippi, because nobody knows me as a poker player. Everybody just knows, it's a small town. Everybody just knows me as me.
Let's stay right there. Let's talk about hate. Being in a small town, you know that you're not really loved when you're trying to come up. It isn't until you get big outside of your small town that now those people want to come in and support you. How much hate did you receive with people knowing, oh, this guy just finished, he's got the spotlight on him, 27th in the World Series of Poker. My girl knows this. She doesn't even know blackjack.
I guess I can speak to that. I would say there was more friction for me previously to doing so well. There was certain elements in town that looked at me as, this rogue gambler type of guy, maybe, like gambling's a sin sort of thing. I mean, we are in Jackson, Mississippi. And, but once, I publicly performed so well and there's real money and profit behind it, which I've been profitable in poker before, almost everyone treated me like, this is the wrong analogy, but on like a Patrick Mahomes or something, like I had just played a game and I'd won and I'd done well and there was no negative connotations whatsoever, even though those negative connotations had been there in the past. Now, of course, there were people in the poker community and maybe a few other people, I won't name any names, but I would put it more in the jealousy category than hatred. But, if like hating on the, just being a hater, yeah, certainly there was some of that. It's Jackson, Mississippi. You're going to have some small town, small-minded stuff that goes on.
What do you think of the statement, hate is attraction unrealized?
Well, I guess let me unpack it a little bit. For me personally, especially as I feel like I've grown as a person over the past 10 years, but especially in the last 5, if I find myself hating anything, whether it be an object or a person or what have you, I try to ask myself why. And not all the time, but a lot of times maybe there's a bunch of jealousy in there. Maybe they have something I want or they're performing better than I am in something that I would like to do.
Or reverse.
Or in the reverse.
Famous poet Nasir Jones, poet laureate, said people fear what they don't understand, hate what they can't conquer.
Sure. I definitely fear. I was fixing to go there with the fear. Fear what they don't understand is certainly there. I think hatred and anger are kind of synonymous emotions. And I think both of those lay right on top of fear. When someone's hating on you, they're either scared of you or maybe more to the point, you're mirroring something for them that they don't like watching your success because it brings into specific relief what they're not doing, especially when they could do it.
No, I completely understand where you're coming from on that, because I had to fight coming up where we grew up, I guess, not knowing my place or so. Because when I came back from my comedic stint, I needed to recharge, re-energize, and I lived a different life than most of the people in our hometown. I mean, I had traveled probably to over 40 countries by this time, visited every state in the country. And so when I got back here, my mindset was different. Everything was different. And I would run into a lot of incidences and where the underlying factor was that I was acting out of my place. And I didn't like that. But I said that you probably never experienced that. Which kind of, I want to ask you this, thinking of that at the same time and you never experiencing, in your opinion, does white privilege exist?
Well, the short answer to that question is yes. I can't say that it doesn't, from my perspective. I would also say You're right. I've never felt in any societal place, or whether it be here, I know we're talking about here, or really anywhere else, that I'm out of my depth or I'm not acting in my place. And I think that probably speaks to some element of white privilege. Now, how do you define white privilege? I'll leave that up to someone else that maybe knows a little bit better how to define it than I do. But for me personally, I can just see, being from here, moved here when I was 10 years old, being from the Mississippi Delta. I mean, I have eyes, and life is different for white people, at least here, than it is for black people. And to say otherwise is delusional, in my opinion. That's a deluded place to it would be a delusional thing to say. So yeah, I think it exists. What to do about it, I don't have an answer for that. But certainly it would, I guess I'll say this. I wouldn't want to have to argue that it didn't exist, knowing that black people didn't have the right to vote until 100 years ago, and they couldn't go to the same schools as we could until 60 years ago, because humans have been around for a long damn time. And America's been here since, 1775. So that is for real 200 years behind. And I would hate to try to argue that that's not the case.
So relevant talking points, movie star looks. You running for president? What's up, man?
No. I'd like to ask you something, actually. You asked
Bigger
me
than 6, less than 12.
Okay. You asked me about white privilege. The race card exists too, at least from my perspective. How often do you play it?
Daily.
Every day?
Okay, not every day, but I can remember one time specifically that I definitely played it to not get fired from a job.
Well, if you're going to use it, you might as well use it for something. I guess I would. I guess I would just say I don't exercise my white privilege on purpose every day.
Yeah,
but I'm sure I use it every day.
So, all right, last time I explicitly used the race card, I was working at the same distributor, and this bull of a China shop style guy had come in, and he was running roughshod over the entire operation. He came in, he completely didn't understand the way that we did things in the South. And people were on the chopping block every day. We're losing a salesman here, merchandiser there. He was coming in and just making cuts. And so I found myself on the block one day where he didn't necessarily say it, but I saw it coming. And so he came in, he grilled me. I was in my office, and he just a series of questions that I couldn't understand where it was going. But as he walked out, I realized, I was like, oh, I'm on the block now.
He was more or less re-interviewing you for your position.
Yes.
Like, why do we need you?
So I panicked. And so he was walking down the hallway, and I did the only thing I knew what to do. I'm so ashamed of this now. But I ran out into the hallway. He was walking up. He was a couple feet in front of me. And I just went, call me a nigger again.
Jesus.
Swear to God, that's what I did. Everyone in the offices came piling out of the hall. He turned around in a fit. Like, I've never seen anyone turn that pale so fast. And all eyes went on him. And I realized what I had done, but I didn't know that everyone was going to come racing out of the offices. So I just politely slid back into my office and closed the door. And yeah, needless to say, I did get fired.
Wow, that's an incredible thing to do. I didn't realize you had it in you. Well, at least you were thinking on your feet. Let me ask you something.
All right.
Do you agree that a straight white man is the most judged person currently today?
I don't know. I've never been a straight white man.
Well, what does that mean? Have you ever been a gay white man?
No, but at times I've dreamed I was a bi-curious panda.
That's pretty funny and fortunate because, yeah, I get it. It's black and white. That's great because that is not attractive to me at all. So we can continue.
Did you ask me that because you feel the current landscape is shifting for white men in this country?
I guess I ask you that for two reasons. One, yes, I think it is shifting. But two, I wanted to more speak to that where it was probably 100% a white man's world some time ago. I don't really want to know how to put a date on it, but it wasn't all that long ago in America where it was white men and everyone else. And
thanks for admitting that.
yeah, I mean, it's obvious. If you can't admit that, I don't, whatever. It's just the truth. It shifted some, obviously, in some really wonderful ways that other people than white men can vote. We all go to the same schools now, or at least the same public schools. But currently, I feel like some, I guess I would call them more closed-minded white people or white men specifically, they feel a little bit of that power slipping away or a little bit of that privilege slipping away. Whereas, maybe they think that they're being judged more than anyone else, or they're just sad that they don't hold all the cards anymore.
You and I have had this conversation before, and I've told you, I will start to feel better about things when I can feel just as safe in a white establishment in Mississippi as you can. Because if you go in any black spots, you, being you, as a white man, you're the safest you've ever been in life because nothing can happen to you inside of there else is lights out for us. Nothing.
Yeah, we have talked about that before, and I agree with you. I don't know when that day will be. It's not today, though.
So you're saying you're scared to roll with me to the club?
No, I'm not scared to go into any black place anywhere in Mississippi. But there's certainly places that I would be scared for you to go, being the only black guy in there, or at least mildly concerned. And that's a dialectic.
So do you know the main differences between whites and blacks when it comes to traffic?
No, but I'm sure you'll explain it to me.
All right. So you've been in traffic before, obviously. Have you ever seen a black person pull up beside you looking upside your head?
I don't want to get in trouble, but I've seen some black women do that.
Do you know why we do this?
I don't know why.
We're trying to assess, A, if something's wrong with you, if you're elderly, or if you have a handicap, because that's going to determine how bad we're about to go the fuck off on you.
That's interesting.
So if you ever see that, just know, in traffic, you have pissed us off. What pisses off white people in traffic?
Gosh, what makes me upset in traffic? Golly, being in the right-hand lane, going straight when you could be in the left-hand lane to go straight, and you're not going to turn.
What's the generalization of white people in traffic when angry? Not you. Why generalization in traffic when angry?
That there's anybody other than white people on the road and they can't exercise their white privilege. I don't know. I don't know.
You gonna get in trouble with your white folks after this one. You keep telling secrets.
I'm not worried about it.
I can't tell you black secrets because that's just it's just a thing. Like we can't really talk about black issues outside of the culture, whatever that means.
Well, I hope one day that can change, but I understand.
So speaking of change, which is the reason why you're here, you are a completely different person from when we met back in the casinos teaching me how to gamble.
That's true.
To where you are now. You're far more enlightened. You are far more cognizant of those around you. You are not that like party boy who willy-nilly let everything go. I want to ask, and you won't hurt my feelings, is that due to your friendship with me or like over time, or have you just like learned that maybe black people are not all that bad?
Well, the short answer to your question is it has a lot to do with my friendship with you, but some other people of color as well, not just black people, but just non-white people. As you well know, I was born in Greenwood, Mississippi in the early 80s and lived in the Mississippi Delta until I was 10. I was raised, I don't want to say I was steeped in racism, but there was racism, real racism in the Mississippi Delta in the 1980s. And
well, the Delta is its own entity. I mean, they even wrote a book, Dispatches from Pluto, great read.
Okay, I'll have to maybe read it one day, but I lived it.
It's about a British journalist that moved to the Delta, bought a house in the Delta, moved there and was like, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, there was a real
Richard
before I was 10 years old, so from 1982 to 1992, my experience at least, and I mean, I'm being authentic, I was there, I lived it. Black people were less than white people across the board. It didn't matter if the black guy had found a way to be a vice president of a bank, he was less than the guy sweeping the floor at the soda shop that was white. I mean, that's just the way it was. And so I grew up in that. And as an impressionable child, it made an impression on me. So I don't want to say I was overtly racist, because we moved here when I was 10 years old and I went to a public school that had some black kids in it, but it was there. You know, the N-word was used regularly around me as I was a child, you know, across all adults. And, you know, that affects how you develop as a human being. And it took me, I left to be an airline pilot when I was 24 years old. That was the first time I'd really left Mississippi. And I went to go see the country. And I lived in a bunch of different places and experienced a number of different things. And yeah, I guess it began then. I flew with some black men, excellent pilots. You know, and I don't want to sound ignorant, but I knew that they existed, but I never met one. I never met a black person that could fly an airplane. And I, at that point, began to realize, you know, I mean, he's doing exactly what I'm doing. He's been through everything I've been through. He's obviously capable. And, you know, you and I established a friendship 10, 12 years ago, and we've had a lot of really good conversations, but I guess it's just as I've aged and I've experienced more of the world than Greenville, Mississippi and Rankin County, Mississippi, you have to, well, you know, you don't have to do anything, but I've chosen to acknowledge what I think is the truth anyway. And so I have shifted. A lot of my racism has waned. I'd like to think all of it, but I don't want to be the judge of that. But it's certainly, in truth, when I was younger, I mean, a teenager, early mid-20s, I definitely had some of that black people are less than white people as like a value system. And that certainly has gone away.
The thing that gives me peace and hope about that, though, is your relationship with your kids. I've seen it firsthand, and how they react, how they behave, and the gentleman that they're becoming, which lets me know that it's possible. And so I want to say thank you and appreciate you for that. And I mean, I want to say thank you for coming and doing this, man. Like I know you got a plane to catch.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Are you flying private or are you flying yourself?
Is it ostentatious if I say I'm flying private?
No, it is not.
Oh, I'm flying private then.
Welcome to the good
And
life.
thank you for that affirmation on my sons. I would like to say that it pleases me as well that obviously they're human, so they can see color, but they don't make a distinction. And that makes me happy.
Welcome to the good life. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, my friend.